The ground shook that morning, and the blast echoed across the valley like thunder rolling off the mountains. People in 3 counties heard it. When the smoke cleared, all that was left was rubble, dust, and one woman screaming like the world had ended. Her name was Victoria Kane, president of the Ironwood Bluffs HOA, and she wasn't just angry, she was furious. A luxury house had just been blown to pieces in front of her eyes. But here's the shocking part. It wasn't her house. It wasn't anyone's. That house stood illegally on my land. And I had been waiting for this moment. You're not going to believe how far this war went or how it ended. Stick around, because this is a story of lies, revenge, and justice served in the loudest way possible. Oh, and before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. My name is Jack Turner. I'm 50 years old, a retired land surveyor who just wanted peace and quiet in the Colorado mountains. 3 years ago, I bought 40 acres of land to live simple: 1 cabin, a garden, a few goats. Nothing fancy. But my peace didn't last long. The trouble started when the Ironwood Bluffs HOA decided to expand their community. Their contractor used sloppy maps, coordinates off by nearly 800 feet. The result? A brand new 3-bedroom luxury home with granite counters. Heated floors and wraparound decks was built right in the middle of my land. I discovered it when I came home from a long hiking trip. Imagine my shock. There's a family eating breakfast on what used to be my pasture. The husband sipped coffee, the wife placed flowers on the table, the kids played on a swing set. All of it on my property. When I told them they were trespassing, the husband laughed. He waved closing papers from Ironwood Bluffs. I pulled out my deed. His face went pale. Within the hour, Victoria Kane herself showed up. Victoria was a tall woman in a gray designer suit, hair pulled back, lips tight as if smiling was painful. She carried a leather folder and spoke like she owned every inch of the mountain. "Jack," she said smoothly, "this is a minor hiccup. We can work this out." Her offer? $10,000 for inconvenience, a free Ironwood Bluffs tote bag, and a year's membership at their private pool. She insisted the house must stay. "You'll hardly notice it's there," she told me, as if a 3,000-square-foot mansion could simply vanish. I told her no. The house was illegal, and it had to be removed. That's when her mask slipped. Victoria turned cold, threatening, certain that her HOA power gave her control over me. She started filing violation notices against my cabin even though I wasn't part of her HOA. The charges were absurd: unapproved lighting, hostile cabin posture, even improper goat pen aesthetics because I hung a disco ball for my goats. Then it escalated. The HOA planted decorative bushes along my driveway, built a security gate with their logo at the base of my road, and worst of all, Victoria filed paperwork to annex my entire 40 acres into Ironwood Bluffs. That was the moment I declared war. I hired Roman Hale, a real estate attorney with a personal grudge against HOAs. He wore a black cowboy hat everywhere he went, even in court. Within 2 days, Roman uncovered something dark. The HOA had just made a mistake. They had forged deed paperwork to make it look like they owned my land. It was sloppy, but dangerous, and we had proof. Fake signatures, mismatched fonts. Even emails where Victoria told the contractor to build where I say, not where the map says. With Roman's help, I shut down their tricks. I filed lawsuits, revoked their fake easements, and got county approval to demolish the illegally built house. The county moved fast, embarrassed that they had accepted forged papers. I even printed flyers. Boundary reset, ceremony-free admission. Bring earplugs. On demolition day, Victoria showed up with cameras, lawyers, and a huge banner reading "Save the Family Home." But the family had already left after their bank voided their mortgage. I sat back in a lawn chair, roasting marshmallows, while the demolition crew rolled in. Victoria screamed, begged, even threw herself in front of the machines. She called the governor. She claimed the house was a historic landmark. Despite being only 6 weeks old, none of it worked. At 9:15 a.m., the house came down in a roar of dust and thunder. Watching that mansion collapse into rubble felt like justice itself had spoken. Victoria went wild, calling it terrorism and suing me for $2 million. She accused me of aesthetic vandalism and architectural violence. I countersued for land theft, harassment, forgery, and fraud. The trial was chaos. Victoria strutted into court like she was untouchable. But Judge Raymond Cross, a former soldier with no patience for nonsense, cut her down at every turn. When she argued that the house increased my property value, the judge laughed out loud. That's like saying I should be grateful if someone parks a Ferrari in my living room. Roman tore her apart with evidence. Every forged document, every fake violation, every email where she ignored warnings, it all pointed back to her. By the end, Victoria was weeping on the stand. Not out of guilt, out of defeat. The verdict? I won. Completely. The HOA had to pay me $900,000 in damages and fees. But it didn't end there. The county launched an investigation into Ironwood Bluffs. Within weeks, they found years of embezzlement. Victoria had been siphoning HOA money to fund her Mercedes and her Aspen vacations. She was arrested, charged with fraud, forgery, and embezzlement. At her criminal trial, the jury deliberated less than 2 hours. Guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced her to 4 years in prison. When the sentence was read, Victoria fainted in the courtroom, collapsing at her lawyer's feet. And me? I got my land, my cabin, my goats, and finally, my peace.